Chris Cantwell and Angel and Zwetter celebrate Iron Man Day as Tony does his best to avoid the new holiday, but his life has a way of bringing trouble directly to him. Chris Cantwell caps off his tenure on Iron Man with an issue celebrating Iron Man as a character, but in a very dramatic, reserved way fitting for the entire run so far, getting into the workings of Tony Stark's mind and his complicated feelings when it comes to people celebrating his heroism. Cantwell subverts what you think the issue is going to be with a really wonderful moment of Tony trying to help a dying man and failing despite his best efforts, and it all leads up to a moment you think Tony is going to relapse and relapse really hard, and I think maybe a lesser writer would have done that to kind of reset him for the next writer and be like, okay, well, Tony's back to being the alcoholic Tony we kind of know and had for a little while there, so let's let the other writer deal with that sort of stuff. But here, Cantwell swerves the story and brings it all back with Tony's friends from throughout the entire series for a really wholesome and personal moment for Tony, where he sees people actually care for him and not in a superficial way that he thinks people celebrating Iron Man Day do, but actually friends who love and cherish him as a person. It's a great way to cap off the run, especially since he began the run on his own, isolated from everyone else and sort of dealing with his own problems, so it's a great way to show the journey he's been on for the last 25 issues. Angel and Zwetter for one final time paints Tony's journey with wonderful colour and intimacy, focusing on his quieter character moments and raw hero work like trying to help a dying man. Angel captured it all with simple, to-the-point paneling and a great flow. Iron Man issue 25 was a fantastic finale to Chris Cantwell and his team's time on the book, capping off Tony's huge journey with a very down-to-earth, very wholesome story of a hero and his friends. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. Iron Man issue 25 finds New York getting ready for Iron Man Day as Tony ponders the celebration from the rooftops, knowing that it wasn't his idea, but when he miraculously came out of the coma he faked to hunt down Source Control, people were filled with joy and wanted to celebrate the hero. But there was also some discourse, some of which he knows is warranted, but he also wonders what people would think about his massive warehouse in Long Island filled with dangerous weapons. James and Bethany meanwhile look over the weapon, and Bethany asks how long it's going to take to reverse engineer the tech, thinking it's going to take years. James doesn't know, wishing her a happy Iron Man Day as Riri Williams continues her research of the Mandarin rings, something Tony is having a hard time trusting, but he wants to trust her despite worrying about her and the rings every 12 minutes of every day, so much so that he's had Boss write up some spreadsheets to show how much he's thinking about it. Hellcat meanwhile meets with Sleepwalker, who tells her that the Dream Murderer is possessing the ghosts of Alcatraz prisoners, and Hellcat needs to help him stop them from killing. Tony knows that he can't ever wrap his head around all of the supernatural stuff, and she's all about it nowadays. He knows that Patsy is having a good time out in San Francisco, and they haven't really talked in a few weeks, which Tony misses greatly. Tony shakes the feeling of being sorry for himself, thinking he's avoiding the obvious Iron Man Day as he looks at the big stage they are preparing down in the streets. Tony is honoured but doesn't really want it since it'll piss off a lot of people. He sees some people who are really excited for the day and are celebrating it while others are protesting him, but most people don't really even care, and he finds that a great relief as life just goes on in New York. Tony flies through the city, unsure what he's going to say at the event as he finds some drunk men in the park, warning them to be safe. Tony decides he's going to walk back to 70th Street, where the event is being held, and knowing a good long walk will help him decide what he's going to say. He finds himself unable to confront the stage, instead taking off and deciding that he's going to take a walk in the subway to clear his head. As he heads down into the subway, he finds all of the trains have stopped, making him wonder if it's because of Iron Man Day, as he wonders if reciting a poem might be a good idea. Suddenly, Tony sees an injured man on the nearby platform, racing over to help him. He goes over the man with his suit, finding that he's possibly had a heart attack. He calls 911, shouting out for anyone to help as he gives the 911 dispatcher his special code that gives him priority access. He tells the EMTs of his situation and sends them his location as Tony thinks about flying the man out of there, but he would have to navigate all of the stairs and the shock of movement might kill the man. Boss discovers that the man has a blockage in his heart, so Tony removes his gauntlets to begin CPR, finding no pulse. He puts the gauntlets back on and tries the defibrillators, charging the man over and over, and then suddenly the man's hand moves. Tony grabs the man's hand and tells him it's going to be alright as he falls unconscious again. Tony takes the chance and moves him, flying flying him out of the subway and to the hospital, since there still might be time to save him. Tony waits in the ER as the Iron Man Day event happens, with the presenter saying that Iron Man is off doing something heroic for them all. Tony learns that the man died of a heart attack as he realizes he never even took his helmet off. Tony walks the streets alone, removing his helmet as he arrives at a dive bar. The bouncer thinks that given that it's Iron Man Day, they'll probably give him one on the house, as Hellcat appears, knowing that Tony isn't going into the bar. Patsy says hi to Tony, telling him that they heard over the EMT scanners what happened, apologizing for the death of the man. Tony knows that it happens sometimes, as Patsy wants him to come with her to Avengers Mansion, as she wants to show him something. As they enter the mansion, Tony remembers how most people don't care for Iron Man Day, but some people do, as Hellcat reveals that all of Tony's friends have gotten together to celebrate Iron Man Day with their friend.